If you struggle with leg cramps at night that wake you up, you're really going to want to hear this story that I'm going to tell you. My name is Mary Sheila Ganella, and I'm a board-certified holistic nutritionist and Ayurvedic educator. And some of you may know that my husband and my family, they are all first responders in our little town of Occidental in Northern California. And every truck in a fire department and every person has an ID number. And most of the time, water tending trucks are called 92. So in our department, it's 5792. And years ago, my husband started calling me 5792 because I'm never without my water bottle. And that nickname stuck, and I like it because I am the water tender in our family. I always was the one bringing the water, on all of our outings and all that. But just last week, I had my water bottle, as I usually do, with me all day, and I really just didn't drink a lot of water. I remember my salted lemon water in the morning was untouched. I just didn't drink it. I drank my coffee first. I just didn't drink water. And I started to notice it in the evening. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not drink a lot of water. I started to get some foot cramps, right? And a couple calf cramps. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I know what to do. I made magnesium water, I made electrolyte water, but I just eaten dinner. It was not ideal, but I did what I needed to do before I went to bed. But it did keep waking me up at night, even though I had tried to catch up. And it reminded me of what doctors say about pain management after surgery. If you wait until you're in pain, it's harder to get out of that pain. And hydration and this experience really taught me the same thing. You have to stay ahead of it. It's almost like imagining, we are 70% water. Imagine at the end of summer when the first rains come, or maybe in the fall, the rain just washes off the earth. It doesn't really penetrate it, right? Because it's so dry. And, if you don't drink water all day long, your tissues are going to have a harder time bringing that water in. So consistent hydration really is key. And I say this too because I see this all the time with clients who tell me all about their leg cramps at night. It's really hard to sleep. They're fatigued, their brain fog. And when I tap into their hydration, a lot of them are like, yeah, I'm just not that good with it. And it is so important. Again, our bodies are 70% water. And we have our blood, which sends nutrients everywhere in the body, right? Brings nutrients to all of our tissues and all of our cells. We have our lymph that helps us transport wastes and toxins and our immune system. And it also needs a watery system. Just like if a river is barely flowing because there hasn't been a lot of rain flow, we're still going to have water in us, but it's just going to be more concentrated with toxins, and things aren't going to be moving the same way they should be moving. So both the blood and lymph depend on hydration to transport those nutrients, to clear our toxins, and to keep your muscles and your nerves firing. Dehydration doesn't just make you thirsty. It really does affect your energy, your mood, your digestion, and even your sleep quality. And here's the key. Hydration isn't just about water. It's also about electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride, right? And sodium is salt. And a lot of times we think, salt is so bad, but all of those minerals, they help your cells absorb the water, and they keep your muscles, your brain, and your heart functioning properly. Okay, so I want to talk about some ways to make sure you're getting those electrolytes when you're drinking your water. And one of the first things that is so simple, I know there's a ton of products out there. One of the most simple things is making sure you have a good mineral-rich salt, which basically means it's a whole salt. It even has a little color. Like this salt is Atlantic gray salt or Celtic salt. It's gray. You can see pink salts. You can see, salts that have all kinds of flecks of color in them. And that is showing that it's not processed, and it does have the full mineral. There's 72 minerals in whole salt. Yes, it is mostly sodium. And yes, you have to be mindful about, our sodium to the other mineral balance. But you can actually add a pinch of mineral-rich salt again, like something like this, to your water. Maybe between an eighth to a quarter teaspoon per quart is a good place to start. So one of the things that I do, and I was just gonna show you so simply, and I do this in the morning, I usually do it with hot water, but I will just take a nice pinch of salt and I will just put it in my water. And again, this is not hot water, but it works just the same way. You know, sometimes you might stir it up, and I love to add a little lemon in there too, just to give it a nice flavor. You know, if it's too salty for you, add a little extra water, right? If it's not salty enough, you can always add a little more salt. But this is a great way to start your day. You can also do this again in the afternoon when your energy is getting a little low. That's actually kidney adrenal time. But adding that salt into your water is adding the electrolytes back, because most of us are drinking filtered water. And so we're pulling a lot of the minerals out so we can have good clean water. It's because all water is recycled over and over again. And so we're adding back the minerals. You can also do things like, you know, broth or homemade herbal infusions, right? So if you had like a nice broth that you were sipping on maybe in the colder season in the afternoon, a great way to get minerals. If you're sweating a lot, consider an electrolyte powder without added sugar, or literally, okay, you do the salt water and you do a little splash of juice. That is basically like what a Gatorade is. So you can make your own electrolyte drink, and you can even add a little chia seeds in there. It adds a little fiber. That's actually very similar to what people would run with in the Copper Canyon in the Tarahumara Indians. They would run with, I think, like lime juice, salt, maybe a little sugar, and chia seeds to do long distances of running in the heat. So too much plain water without electrolytes can actually flush minerals out of your body. And you know, you don't need to drink, sometimes people will tell me like that they drink a gallon of water. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of work on the kidneys. And you know, as you're urinating, you're going to be losing minerals too. So you don't want to lose too many minerals. So yeah, it's like the teeter-totter, fine balancing act. But it is about being consistent, not waiting all day long and then drinking water and expecting your body just to catch up. Because sometimes you don't feel that good when you catch up really quick. So here's a few more tips around hydration that are so important that I want you to kind of take in and understand. You want to drink between meals and not with them, okay? When you drink too much water with your food, you can dilute your digestive juices. So you aim for like 20 to 30 minutes before a meal and maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours after a meal. Of course, you can sip on some water, but just don't guzzle the water bottle. Your stomach has to cook your food, so you don't want to dilute all your digestive juices. You know, again, a lot of people just think about drinking water right when they sit down to eat. So you got to have some new habits in place. And maybe that means setting a timer on your phone, right? And bookending your water intake, like, okay, every time I wake up in the morning, I'm going to drink some water and start off my day before I do anything else. Okay, every time I do this, right? So you can start to bookend it into different things that you do. Warm or room water temperature, it really is best. I know some people don't like to drink water, and I know that some people feel like they don't like the taste of it, or they like it ice cold. And you know, if ice cold is the only way it's going to happen for you, then by all means, add the ice. But in Ayurveda, warm water supports digestion, whereas ice water can dampen your digestive fire and slow your metabolism. So it can be important. So sipping on tea or hot water in a thermos cup, I love doing that. And also just having regular room temperature water. Adding a little bit of lemon could help if it makes it, you know, go down a little bit easier. And again, as my example with my story, you want to front load your hydration. You want to drink earlier in the day, and then you can taper off more naturally in the evening to avoid waking up at night to use the bathroom. You can also add things like cucumber, lemon, berries, and herbs to make your water more enjoyable. I love doing that. It's so delicious. I'll throw a bunch of things into the water, and then I can just drink that through the day, and it tastes so delicious, and it just adds a little fun in my water. I will say that another way to get those minerals and electrolytes is when we eat carbohydrates. Think about if you've ever had like a fresh vegetable juice, or by all means, even a fruit juice. It's literally, we're juicing those vegetables and we're extracting all the water, and there is a lot of water in them. So when you're eating more vegetables and fruit, you're getting more hydration. So that is a great way to actually get more hydration just in your day by eating more fruits and vegetables. Broths and teas are a great way to also make hydration even more nutrient dense. And again, even things like the chia water that I mentioned together can be added to some of your little concoctions. And lastly, I want to say electrolytes aren't just for athletes. They're really for anyone who wants steady energy and fewer cramps, okay? Again, I know that's a problem for a lot of people, and I want you to think about, like, are you drinking it steadily throughout the day versus just like all at one time? Because that's not going to cut it if you are struggling with things like cramps. So what I want you to take away from this is that hydration is more than just drinking water. You want to stay ahead of dehydration, keep your electrolytes in balance, and hydrate in a way that supports digestion and energy. If you found this helpful, I would love for you to grab my free Midlife Reset Answer Guide. It's packed with the top questions I hear from clients and practical answers you can use right away. The link is in the description, and let me know in the comments, what's your go-to hydration tip? Do you like adding lemon, salt, herbs, or maybe you like an electrolyte powder that works for you? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and here's to staying nourished and hydrated. And feel free to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell for notifications. Cheers.